Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we're going to be doing the mid-June check-in for love for the sign of Taurus. Alright, we're going to get right into it, Taurus. I hope you're having a good beginning or first half of the month and first half of the year. Alright, today we're going to do your love check-in, and this is for Tauruses who are single or in relationships. Doesn't really matter. It's just a general check-in in the region of love in your love life, right? Give you an idea of what's going on and what kind of energy you're dealing with between you and your significant other, if there is one, or if there's one coming in for you. All right? Show me, Taurus. Show me. All right, Taurus. Your two cards are finances and career and deception. Wow. All right. Interesting. So something to watch out for, right? At the bottom is honeymoon. So perhaps getting away, enjoying holiday time together. But deception is somewhere there. Let's get your other cards out and get your 9 cards for your mid-June reading. Alright, usually, of course, once we get the cards out, I can clarify those two. Get a better understanding about why those are the cards the Oracle wanted us to see. Show me what's going on with Taurus for mid-June 2019 in the area of love. Show me. Alright, Taurus. See what's going on for you. I've already been meditating and shuffling for quite some time before I turned on the camera, so we just need a little shuffle here. Alright, Taurus, you've got, wow, Ace of Pentacles, 9 of Wands, 6 of Swords, 4 of Wands, 7 of Pentacles, the Devil, Judgment 20, 9 of Cups, and 5 of Pentacles. Wow. All right. Let's see what's going on. At the bottom, you have 10 of Wands. So you're coming to the end of a long journey, right? Coming to the end of a long, hard road. You're ready to put down your burdens, right? This is the last little bit. The last little, like, you know, hurdle, right? Before you can put it behind you, before you can lay all of that down. So, yeah, it could be a lot of work that you've been putting in. You know, you could be feeling quite tired, quite exhausted, right? Could be meant, you know, this card also, because it's been quite a long journey and it's kind of a close of a difficult period, right? A very burdensome period, right? Yeah, you generally feel quite exhausted. You can see the character on here is just barely can make it in, you know. But that's just a general undercurrent of what's going on, this being at the bottom of the deck, right? But honestly, finances and career, straight out the gate, you have Ace of Pentacles. So big opportunities coming in, right? Huge opportunity. Something to do with your career, your passions, somewhere where you make money, whether it be artistic or what it is, like specifically your work career, or if you're an artist, you make money out of your art. You know, if you're a performer, you make more money out of your performance. Wherever you make your money, there's a really amazing opportunity coming in, a good opportunity, a divinely kind of protected opportunity coming in for you, right? And you're looking back right now as well. You're going to be looking back over this period as well. This is 9 of Wands. Interesting. 10 of Wands is at the bottom of the deck. But 9 of Wands is here. It just talks about looking back at all the hard work that you've done. You know, you've done it on your own, right? You're separate. 9's being the number of yourself, your relationship with yourself, how you see yourself, your self-improvement, things like that. And that's a solitary journey, right? So here he is alone. He's kind of looking back on all of his trials and tribulations, you know, and how he's gotten through all of them, and yeah, there's some bumps and bruises, he may have some scars that he's got along the way, but this is the card that is like, you're taking a breather before you get to the Ten of Wands. You're just looking back. And it's also kind of like, it can be a bit of a, like, a pat on the shoulder. Like, look, you've come a long way. You've done it on a lot of it on your own, right? You should be proud, just a little way further, right? Take your breather, take stock as well, taking stock of everything that you've accomplished and that you've gone through as well. And then go forward to the close, which would be the Ten of Wands. So you're being very not retrospective, I guess retrospective, but also introspective right now. And interestingly enough, on the deception card, you have Six of Swords, which talks about wanting to get away from disharmonious relationships, negative relationships. It's a journey. It's like you've made your mind up. This is when you've made your mind up to get away from certain kind of people and environments that are unhealthy for you. That don't make you feel good, that are not conducive to a good mental state. Swords are all about the mental, right? It's the suit for the mental air. So it's like you've had enough of probably deception, falsehoods, people being, not true to themselves, hiding who they really are, pretending to be something else, and you're really kind of, and I think that's one of the reasons why you're feeling really quite retrospective in terms of looking over what you've been through, and it's been a lot. You've gone through a lot, and I think now you realize it's time for you to move forward, right? Certainly with finances and career coming in, wanting to move away from deception. In comes the Four of Wands, which is, soulmate energy. It's stability in relationships. It's harmony in relationship. I think that as a result of this kind of like decision that you've made here, you're either going to be bringing in a harmonious relationship, or you're going to be, if you're already in a relationship, that perhaps you might be willing to take it now to the next level. It's almost as if, if you've been with somebody for quite some time, right, it's like you guys have both been together going through it. Maybe your partner hasn't necessarily gone through what you've been going through here, but they've been supportive and they love you and they're with you, right? And it's almost as if like, wow, you've learned, you've come to the realization about what you need to do to move forward and to get away from whatever's been holding you back, right? From whatever negativity that's obviously got you to want to get, to want to make this journey, right? And it's just going to stabilize your relationship. So if you were having like chaos in your relationship, or if your relationship was feeling like the stability was like rocky, it's going to restabilize as a result of this journey or of this move. You might be even, Taurus, you might even be considering moving, physically moving. You might be moving locales or where you live, something like that. But whatever this decision is, whether it's a physical or just a journey away from certain social circles or people, right? Whatever journey you decide to make here, right, it's going to be for the benefit of your relationship. And it's going to strengthen your relationship and bring some stability into your relationship where there may have been some issues, some rockiness, especially rocky if you've been having some slight rockiness in your relationship that's come from the outside, and it feels like it has nothing really to do with you two. It feels like, you know what I mean, when you have an argument, it's like, why are we arguing, or why are we having this problem, and you realize all of a sudden now you're having this problem because of, because you're both dealing with a certain group of people, or you're dealing with a certain dynamic or a certain environment that suddenly is bringing in this negativity, right? So it's like making this journey, deciding to make this journey to get away from it is like restabilizing your relationship. Seven of Wands comes in, and then following that, no wonder finance and careers is out, because now you also reevaluate your desires for your goals. You're reevaluating what you want for your future in the material, right? In terms of your goals, for making money, for being prosperous, for all of that, all of that that's in the material world and the material plane. You're going to reevaluate it. Is it still in line with what you wanted? Right? Now that you've made this change, it's quite interesting. Now that you've made this change and you've reflected, right? Excuse me. And you're going through this like closing of a period, right? Kind of closing of a chapter of laying down some burdens that are no longer yours. It's like everything now you feel like you need to revisit, right? You almost need to revisit your goals for your life as well, as far as your career is concerned. The devil comes up, and the devil is also interesting because he's he's the card for creativity as well as kind of temptation, right? So it's as if you're moving away from temptation, right? But you're also building on your creativity. You're also bringing in more creativity, more freeness, right? The devil card is one of those cards that it's not always about being negative. It's really how you approach it. 15. The first 5 is the Hierophant, right? And this is the 15 card in the Major Arcana. So in the Hierophant, there are 2 people also. And the Hierophant like has the central position, right? And there's 2 people that are kind of facing him, right, in reverence. Similar to this, the devil here is also perched in the center, and the 2 people are kind of like, they're not facing him, but they're tied, right? They're tied to him. And it just talks about being tied to like temptations, being tied to money, lust, and those things aren't bad in and of themselves, but if you become a slave to them, right, without using those kind of attributes, right, human attributes to elevate yourself, which is what creativity is. This is why the devil card also represents creativity, because it's when you use your passion and your lust and all of that, and you channel it and you focus it in a positive way, that you come up with creative solutions, you come up with art, right? You come up with, amazing things, inventions, right? All of that comes from lust and comes from a kind of passion, a sexual energy even, right? However, when you're not focusing it and you're just going through those emotions for their sake, just for the pleasure of that, that's when we talk about being kind of in the energy of the devil card, where you're no longer elevating. You're kind of just working for the money. You're not spending the money on anything fun, right? That's an example, if you're just, or if you're just gotten to kind of a cycle of going out and eating out at dinners and partying and all of this kind of thing to socialize, for instance, right? But then the socializing never amounts to anything. Perhaps you started it as a way to network, but you never end up networking. You just always end up partying and drinking and eating in fine restaurants, but it never goes anywhere. That's an example of when you're in the negative of the devil card, right? Of that devil energy. That's an example of it. And you can turn that around quite quickly and refocus it, and it becomes a card of great creativity, as long as you can refocus that. So it certainly comes out because it's kind of an admonishment to you right now, Taurus, to beware of that. Certainly while you're realigning your dreams, judgment comes because as well it's all about realigning kind of the way you're going about your life. You're making a turn, you're making a change in what type of environment you want to be in. And I'm sure you're going through a kind of a self-judging period as well, self-judgment as well. It's actually underneath of the 4 of Wands, which is your stability, your relationship stability. So I believe that has something to do with it as well. It could be that some of you need to as well deal with perhaps any kind of misplaced guilt that you've had in your relationships up until now as well, right? And when you do that, you could be going through like a revisited honeymoon phase, or even a first honeymoon phase. It could be that some of these issues were holding you guys back, or holding back the ability to take the relationship to the next level, to make sure that stability is there to go to the next level. So releasing each other from guilt, from judgment, from poking the finger, from blame, misplaced blame. It could be as well that as a result of some of this whatever this tension or energy or whatever these trials and tribulations were that you went through up here, it may have been that you inadvertently, you and your partner, if you were with someone, and this is for people, Taurus, who were involved, that you may have let some of that or placed some of that blame inadvertently on your partner. And now's the time to kind of like discuss it all and let go of it. You know what I mean? Put blame where blame is due. Your relationship will be better for it. You will be better for it. And you'll release. You release yourself. You release yourself from guilt. I mean, that's the whole point of the Four of Wands. A lot of people call this the soulmate or the twin flames, but it's really because of that stability, that harmony that you find in a relationship when you forgive each other and you trust each other and you truly accept each other for each other instead of trying to change each other in any kind of way. You accept the good, the bad, and the ugly on equal footing, and you trust that. And it's that kind of instability that endures. And so then you have a long-lasting relationship, Nine of Cups is coming out. So again, talking about, coming another 9. You have 9 of Wands up here and 9 of Cups down here. So again, just the last step before like the completion, right? The completion of a time, of a period. But when you get to the 10 of Cups, it's like having everything, right? It's having the family, the wife, the husband, the dogs, the kids. You're happy, healthy, all of that, right? 9 of Cups, you're not quite there yet, And 9 of Cups just talks about being more present in your relationship, giving more of yourself, making sure, here he's quite proud of his relationships, but he's also being the cups, right? These could be friendships, relationship, what have you. But there's still kind of a separation there, right? He's still kind of a little bit separated, a little bit apart from the cups. 9, again, like I said before, being all about how you see yourself and, shadow work, being alone, being isolated or separate from others. Here again, see, he's isolated. But this is more about reflecting on the fact that, the work that you've done on your own, the work that you've done without help from anyone per se, how you've been able to motivate yourself and being proud of that, looking back on that, right? So this is more about self-esteem, whereas here it's also about like being careful not to isolate yourself from loved ones, giving more of your heart so that you can eventually get to that 10 of Cups, to that full completion, not crossing, right? He's crossing, when you cross your arms, that's a closed position, right? So I think, again, for those of you who want to have more intimacy in your relationship, perhaps if that's not happening, right, that's what you want to watch out for, Perhaps that is why, maybe you've been having like a distance, And then perhaps you'll be able to deal with that and reconcile some of this, or at least work towards that 10 ultimately after this like clearing of judgment, after you have a little bit of this healing in your relationship. You know what I mean? After you have this conversation, it all kind of hinges on how you come through this period that's been quite difficult, Taurus. It's been hard. I know it has. It's been spiritually taxing and mentally taxing, emotionally taxing. But coming out of that period is what right now your love life needs to stabilize, if you know what I mean, right? Also, 5 of Pentacles comes up. So again, abandonment in terms of finances. So interestingly enough, you have this Ace of Cups coming up here about a new opportunity, right? Which is coming your way, and also a prosperous one, right? And then also you have here reevaluating your vision, your goals, your wishes, right? And looking back on your accomplishments. Funnily enough, to come back down here on the 5 of Pentacles, and this does not necessarily mean that things won't work out for you, but a lot of times this card will come up when this and a couple other cards, which are about kind of discord, right, will come up when you decide to change your life for the better, when you start to like better yourself, right? And sometimes there are people that will kind of try to alienate you, try to mess with your money. This is being alienated in a way, right? You see the characters are outside there, but they look a little bit destitute, right? fives being the power struggle number. This is like having a power struggle with somebody or a group of people, or a group that you know, right? Um, Social group or a group at work or what have you, right? That then kind of abandon you. They kind of expel you, but they do it in such a way that it messes with your money. You know what I mean? It's not just an emotional thing. It messes with your money. It makes you have to pay the price with your money. And this could be even something like being ousted from like a project at work, or being ousted from an investment group or anything like that. This is an example of something like that, when people kind of turn their backs on you for whatever reason, right? And you end up not only getting kicked out the group, but paying the price financially. And a lot of times this will come up, this card will come up when I do a reading and it shows that you've been doing shadow work, right? Like, for instance, deciding to get away from certain people, perhaps calling people on their lies, right? It's, you know what I mean? It may get people who are haters, who want to ostracize you, right? Who want to kick you out of the club because you finally woken up, right? And you've realized that you want something better or something more. And that's fine. This is not always a bad thing necessarily. It's more like an energy that's been done to you for whatever reason. Please give me some clarity. I'm just reading for our lovely Taurus. Show me. So sometimes it's interesting when you do a love reading, not so much comes up like cups or any kind of message about the specific love. Sometimes this kind of reading will come up, which is more to do with like your own shadow work. And that happens because it's necessary in order for you to have the love that you want. If in order, you know, if this resonates with you and you're someone who's looking to bring in love, or you're someone who's already in a relationship, these kind of messages come up because you're at a point now where this work has to get done in order for you to move forward in your relationships. Queen of Wands, Prince of Discs, Hanged Man, Sagittarius, Art, Temperance. Well, Art in the Thoth deck, but it is Temperance coming up. Knight of Discs, there's the money man. Three of Discs, Ten of Cups, there's your Ten of Cups. Magician out of control, and Three of Swords. So at the bottom you have Death, which is definitely a transformation, a change, right? So we know you're going through a change, a big transformation. We know you're coming to the end of a long battle, right? Of a difficult period. You're ready to lay down some of your burden during that period and start a new chapter, right? Here we go. Ace of Pentacles is clarified by Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is transformative. She's transformed. She's come through, right? She's gone through kind of the difficult period. She's gone through like poverty, for instance. She's gone through being perhaps an outcast socially. She's gone through periods of heartbreak, right? The Queen of Wands has gone through all kinds of, you know, transformative lessons in her life. And now she kind of is very in tune. She's very enlightened. She's very wise. She's careful with who she gives her advice to. She's cautious. She's not as open as the Queen of Cups, who just bears her heart. She doesn't bear her heart. She keeps her heart close to her. She is kind, and she's willing to give of herself, right, to those who ask, but she is cautious. She's prudent. She understands how easily somebody can take your kindness for weakness, right? And that's interesting. This could be the person that's associated with this opportunity coming in, Taurus, right? This could be someone, male or female, doesn't really matter. But it's that kind of energy who brings this towards you, right? Brings this opportunity towards you. It could also well be that this is how you're being seen, and this is why the opportunity is coming towards you. This could be very well how someone sees you as a Queen of Wands, because quite frankly, that makes perfect sense, especially since I'm saying you've come through a very long, difficult period. So, you know, a Ten of Wands would of course, coming through a Ten of Wands period would naturally, you know, you will come out radiant like a Queen of Wands. Certainly if you've learned life lessons. So this could very much be the energy that you're reflecting and you're bringing in positive opportunities. But again, if this is the case, be careful. Like I said, be prudent. Prince of Discs, yeah, talking about looking back on all the trials and tribulations again. Prince of Discs, again, it's kind of like a reaffirmation of this opportunity coming in, because the Prince of Discs talks about the arrival again also of money, but having taken a long time. And it could be that, yes, it has taken quite some time, but it's sure, right? It is sure. Your opportunity to increase your livelihood is certain. It's just that, it's one of those things, like I said before, you look back, you take your breather. It's like he's taking a rest. He's and it's like, okay, now just keep going, because I know it seems like it will never end, but it will end and it will come in. And the Hanged Man's coming here to clarify the Six of Swords. So yeah, this is the Hanged Man shows up when you know it's time to make a change. Right. And interestingly enough, the Hanged Man is 12, right? So the first two is the High Priestess. She doesn't, the High Priestess, you kind of have to ask for her help. She's not going to just jump out and give you her sage advice, right? The High Priestess is very wise and intuitive. And she's the one that the teacher that a lot of people, someone may seek out, for instance, for her advice, or that energy you're seeking out, right? But she has to be called upon, right? You have to call upon the High Priestess energy within yourself if that's where you want to be. The Hanged Man being the next two, being the 12, he's more or less he kind of hangs there until something catches his interest. He's found it very comfortable to be on his own, or to be in a certain kind of routine. People say it's uncomfortable. It's more. It's not so much that he's uncomfortable. In fact, it's more that he's too comfortable, and whatever he sees, it has to interest him enough to want to change. He's just become quite stuck in being satisfied with less, if you know what I mean. Would doing with less, rather than wanting to strive. So it takes a lot to get him to want to come off of his position, right? But when he comes up, it means that you're ready to do that. And that's interesting that it comes, the Hanged Man comes to clarify Six of Swords. It certainly means you've had enough. You're absolutely ready to change this whole dynamic. You're ready. And you have to understand, a lot of this is going to change you. It's going to require you to change as well. Right? And that's why the Hanged Man shows up. You have to realize this is not all just coming from the outside in. There's a lot of this is going to be you having to change some things about yourself as well. And that's for you to decide what that is. But you've been holding on to some sort of ways of acting, ways of interacting with people, behavior patterns, right, that have caused some of this negative energy, some of this, I don't want to say misery, but, some of this difficulty, right, and some of it you've brought to yourself, so you have to try to figure out what that is about, and kind of, I don't want to say it's not a fixing thing, but it's a kind of absorbing your experience and changing. You know what I mean? Changing, evolving, changing your behavior patterns when you know they no longer suit you. Temperance is here, right? And it's the same thing as well. Learning how to temper yourself. Learning how to understand your weaknesses and your strengths, and how to combine them in a creative way. And that's, again, comes out in terms of what, here you have Four of Wands, and Temperance is the 14. So Temperance 14 is stability in yourself. Once you get the stability in yourself and this kind of like happiness, right, the sweet spot, it's going to bring stability in your relationship. Or at least, if you're not involved, it will bring the ability for a relationship to come in. Again, more Knight of Discs here. So Knight of Discs, again, just reinforcing that, it's coming in for you, right? That somebody's looking to you specifically, right, to work with. You're looking back on your, on your vision. You're looking back on the fruits of your labor, right? But somebody has their eye on you. And it could even be that you have, perhaps whatever it is, what field you're in, you may have piqued someone's interest, right? And they want to work with you. That could be where some of this jealousy down here is coming from, right? Why you're being ostracized. Could be the people you usually work with are upset because here comes someone else and they really want to engage you. The works, here comes works, 3 of Discs. Again, like I said before, right? If you can focus your passion and focus that energy, right? 3 of Discs talks about works. It's Mars and Capricorn. It's focusing the mind, body, and soul. So, 3 again, bonding, loyalty, union. If you can focus some of this high creative energy that you have right now, it's going to bring you even more. It's going to bring you better work. It's going to take you to that level that you need to be to make the most of this opportunity. I feel like this is for a Taurus out there who's an artist, a performer, someone who makes their money from an artistic side of life. And that could even be like you could still work for a company. You could be a graphic designer. But whatever it is you do, there is an art to it, right? It isn't just something that is technical. There's some kind of part of yourself that you bring an artistic slant to it, because I just feel like so much creativity, especially with the Devil card coming out and Temperance. And again, here you're focusing and it brings you good work. It brings you gain in your work. It brings you good quality work, right? 3 of Discs. Recognition, 3 of Discs is when people recognize you for the good work that you're producing. Again, like I said here, somebody's got their eye on your work and on the quality of it, and they want more of it. And here we go. This is what I said earlier about the 10 of Cups. So what I said, remember, about the 9 of Cups, dealing with that last little bit of kind of like separation, right? Because you want to get to the 10. It's certainly about that judgment, right? So if you are with somebody, letting go of some of, like I said, letting go of any of that misplaced maybe judgment or guilt, or, you said this and, well, I didn't mean that. Well, she said this and he said that kind of thing. Well, somebody told me that you did that. Well, I never did that. Well, then you realize you believed somebody, right? You shouldn't have believed. And it's just like, judgment is about realizing how petty sometimes, blaming people for certain actions is. Who is absolutely blameless, right? But if you can let go of that, if you can lay yourself bare, 10 of Cups is coming. And that's what we want, right? Isn't that what we were just saying? Like 4 of Wands and 10 of Cups, it's beautiful. That's like having everything. You're in love. You're together. You have the stability that's enduring, but you also have the love. It's kind of that kind of love of like, oh man, thank God we got through this, You ever have that? You ever have that like conversation with somebody and you've been kind of not quite together the way you want, and then you have this conversation with them and you work it out, and then afterwards you just feel so relieved that you actually worked it out with them, and it's like, oh, I knew we could, but you weren't quite sure, right? And you're just so relieved, and it just feels like you love them 10 times more. It's that kind of energy coming in for you, Again, having those good conversations. Yeah, the Magician out of control is here, so feeling separated from, your person and your relationships is not a good place for you, Taurus. It doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't make you feel like you're in control or you're in charge, right? And this is, again, like I said, Magician, this is one of the 3 Magician cards in the Thoth deck. I think this one's coming out now to just let you know that really it's down to you, right? It's down to you to manifest the type of relationship you want. It's down to you to get control of the things you want and to not let others control you, right? And to not let outside energy control you, make a puppet out of you, make a puppet out of your relationships, pull you away from your relationships, drive a wedge between you and your partner. Interesting. You know, I get a little bit of that feeling. You know, here again, Three of Swords clarified that Five of Discs there. So it's almost as if, and I'm going to tell you, this is quite interesting, Taurus. It could be almost as if, like, somehow maybe someone who, like an ex-lover, perhaps, right, is jealous. And they're jealous of your desire to leave and go forward. You didn't go maybe you didn't necessarily go forward with them, right? But now you're going forward, and you're going forward with somebody else completely. And you're going forward in your life for other reasons completely. And you're going forward in your life for a totally different opportunity, right? And they're so pissed because it's like all this time, perhaps before you were involved in this whole time, they wanted, you know, they were like, they were probably wanting and insisting for you to do all of these things, but you just weren't ready then. You weren't ready then. You weren't ready to do it for them or for anybody else. You're doing it now because you're doing it for yourself. But they're angry and bitter, and they're trying to fuck with your money. They're trying to fuck with your situation as a result of it. They're being quite vindictive. Watch out for this energy. I mean, you can see it in the cards, right? It's quite dark energy. It's at the end of the reading. So it comes at the end of you doing all this shadow work and possibly having your Ten of Cups, right? Which pisses them off even more. You know what I mean? The fact that you've gotten over other people making you a puppet, which pisses them off even more because they probably wanted you to do that when you were with them, but you didn't, right? Right? And that could also be that whoever is doing this to you is part of this long burden that's finally coming to a close. Interestingly enough, this is the only card here that factors in about real relationships or long-term relationships. It's a power card, right? Which is good because it means that if you are involved with somebody you love right now, it should endure, or you should be bringing in that kind of enduring love. But the only other kind of issue about relationship is this Three of Swords. So it's quite interesting to me that it's almost as if this burden you're about to lay down certainly has something to do with someone who may have been a previous relationship to you, or you've been in a previous relationship with, and maybe you haven't been together for quite some time, but they've still been all up in your affairs, right? And now you realize you need to separate from them, you know, and it's like you're doing all the right things for yourself, and they just are just bitter. So watch out for that energy. You know, you don't need them. You don't need that, right? You don't need that cathedral necessarily. Don't allow them to make you destitute. Be strong because you've got opportunities coming in, right? Don't let them get you to believe that you don't have control. You do. You have a lot of opportunities coming in, and you're doing this work, and you don't owe anybody anything, Taurus. Not ever. You never owe anybody anything, especially for shadow work. It doesn't matter how many times somebody told you to do it or got you to do it or whatever. Who cares? Who cares if it's somebody who, you know, got you to do it, or if it's a flower you saw on the side of the road that gave you the inspiration. The shadow work is hard, and you're the one who does it, and no one can do it for you. So therefore, you don't owe anybody for that, and nobody can take that away from you. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, suck it up, Buttercup. If this person really loved you, they would be happy to see you. If they really cared, if what they wanted for you was really altruistic, they'd be happy to see you going through this transformation at any time in your life, right? They wouldn't be mad because you're going through it now and they're not a part of it, right? So that in and of itself is a very selfish attitude, and it shows that they don't have virtue. They're not virtuous about what they want for you, right? So that's just a little aside because I just feel this energy coming through for this person. But there's a big death coming, a big change, and it'll be good for you. You're gonna be unburdened. You got money coming in, opportunities for great work coming in, great artistic work. Stabilize your relationship. Just say goodbye to this other. Say goodbye and move forward. All right? Wow. And then the honeymoon will come in. That's why it's a honeymoon, but it's not until later. All right, my lovelies. Okay, so this is it. I'm going to let it be. We're almost at 40 minutes. That's about right. Taurus, I love you guys so much. I'm a Taurus rising myself. So I really enjoy your energy, folks. And you were calling my name today, so I decided to throw your reading up next. So if you want a private reading, you just can go to my homepage and schedule on the banner, or you can go to the link below. Please, if this resonated with you at all and you enjoyed it, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and share. If it didn't resonate with you, just enjoy throwing it away. Watch other videos. Check out other readers. Check out some of my other videos on Taurus for the month. Maybe that will resonate with you. And certainly check out other readers, because there's many of them out there that have different styles and influences. And you may find one that has a reading for you that's a lot more on point for you. Okay? But for right now, I just want to tell you, Taurus, I love you so much. Enjoy your mid-June. Bye-bye.